Fresh logo, fresh look, a few fresh fingerprints. The Kia Niro is fresh and new for the 2023 model year. Let's go ahead and take a look. Kia has been doing some pretty big things in the last few years. You've got the Kia Telluride, which has been a huge standout in its class. You got the Kia Stinger, which has been a big hit among enthusiasts. We're sort of moving towards this electrified world, and there's an ever-growing popularity for crossovers. So here we're entering the second generation here with this 2023 Kia Niro in the subcompact crossover class, which is a fancy word for a hatchback with a tiny bit more ride height. But it comes in 3 different electrified powertrains: a full EV, a plug-in hybrid, and a standard hybrid. And Kia is saying they're making a move towards its sustainability and taking a lot of keys from nature. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we've got. Now, with this one being the plug-in hybrid, we've got the 4-cylinder gasoline engine as well as the electric motor. Now combined, those are making 180 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. Not exactly a speed demon, but definitely not underpowered when it comes to your daily commute. And if you don't like the way it delivers power, you can always pop it into sport mode. That'll get you moving a little bit quicker. But I say combined because you can run this in either full EV mode, combined hybrid mode with the gasoline engine and the electric motor at the same time, or in full gasoline mode. Now it will do that automatically unless you tell it you want to go into full EV mode. Kia says you can run about 33 miles in the full EV mode on a full charge, and that's up from 26 miles in the last generation. In hybrid mode, we're looking in the 50s on average MPG. At least that's what it's rated at. I'm getting about 40 MPG, but I also have the heated steering wheel and the heated seats on pretty much constantly, and I'm doing a mix of city and highway. And the power is made it to a 6-speed dual clutch transmission with paddle shifters, and it's all going through the front wheels. You can only get this in front wheel drive, which really honestly isn't that big of a deal. You know, a lot of people are pushing for all-wheel drive. You need all-wheel drive when you're in an area with snow. Front wheel drive is good enough. Just get some good tires on it. Plus it helps keep the weight down a little bit, which is good because this thing only weighs, about 3,500 pounds. With being a hybrid, that's actually not too bad. One thing that really surprised me about this car is the ride quality. This thing really is a very comfortable cruiser. It definitely punches above its weight class in that category. And when you're cruising, you've got all the typical Hyundai Kia safety systems standard, no matter which trim you get. Those systems work really, really well. I love this lane centering. I talked about this in some of the other videos. Hyundai and Kia have one of the best lane centering systems out there. It really helps with fatigue on long trips. Really keeps you very well centered in the lane. We've also got the full speed rear cruise control, which will modulate your speed depending on whether or not there's a car in front of you. And while we do have very good visibility out the front and the back because it's got this big boxy shape, a big rectangular window, and we've got the big mirrors on the side, no real big blind spots or anything. The pillar's back far enough, but we do have blind spot monitoring as well. And as is typical with Hyundai and Kia, if someone's in your blind spot and you hit your turn signal, it'll give you a very soft ding. It'll lower your music. It's very clear that there's someone there without being super harsh. There's no red flashing lights or any blaring awful sounds. It's very clear that someone's there without being too harsh. I love that system. Now, another note about the charging is, this is a plug-in hybrid, which means they plug it in overnight. If you're on a level 2 charger, that's a 240 volt. You can charge fully in 2 hours and 45 minutes is what Kia has rated this at. But with the level 1 charger, which is your standard 110 outlet that you have in your house, it's going to take more like 20 hours. It's a pretty long charge. So if you don't have a long time to charge it overnight, I would definitely recommend getting the level 2. And if you have a short commute just around town, that's going to be really efficient. You can just charge it overnight and run in full EV all the time. And when you're going on your longer trips, you don't have to worry about range anxiety or anything like that because you've got the gasoline engine to back it up. Now, as with any great hybrid system, I love to nerd out about what the system is doing at any given time. So I like to watch it charge itself or see, when I'm in full electric mode, or whether the gasoline engine is powering the wheels or powering the battery. And it's cool that this one can actually run you in electric mode even at full speed. It doesn't matter what speed you're going. It could be going 70 on the highway or going 3 miles an hour in traffic around town. You can be in full electric mode no matter what. We've got a fresh look for 2023 for this subcompact crossover, which I'm pretty sure is just marketing speak for hatchback, since people don't seem to like hatchbacks. And this thing is definitely making a statement. This mineral blue color looks beautiful in person, and the arrow blade, which is what they're calling this black thing over here, is kind of growing on me. That one is optional, and it can only be paired with this color and this trim. Other things that set the SX apart from the EX trim are going to be the 18-inch wheels. Those would be 16th in the EX. We've got a moonroof, auto folding mirrors, LED headlights and fog lights, a power liftgate, and a lot of gloss black and satin chrome around the outside, which would all be matte black, body colored, and regular chrome in the base spec. Either way, this car is bigger overall than the last generation, as has been the trend in the automotive industry. Touch to lock and unlock. There's a bit of a delay on the lock, just like the Hyundai I was just in. That throws me off a bit, but I am glad it has that feature. 2 little doors here, one for gas and one for electricity. Don't mix those up. Mirrors are heated with integrated turn signals and blind spot monitoring, and roof rails are standard up top. Up front, I mentioned those LED headlights and fog lights already. I like the look of this front end. Got the updated, more modern looking Kia logo, which looks a little bit like a KN. I assume that stands for Kia Niro. And the back end gives us LED tails and that power liftgate I mentioned. Grab to open or use the button on the key, which opens up into 19.4 cubic feet of space with this nice boxy shape. If you drop the seats down, that goes up to 55 cubic feet. Oh, the interior. Someone took some liberties in here, some good and some bad. It actually looks pretty similar to the EV6, but man, fingerprint enthusiasts are gonna love it in here. We've got to talk about all the gloss black in here first. It's tough to miss. A lot of automakers are using this, I realize. It looks really nice when it's clean, but it's almost never clean, and there's a lot more in here than I've seen in any other car I've been in. All across the center here, it's even in the doors. These headrests are a little funky, but I'm kind of into it, and I like the way they put the USB ports in the side of the seats. Refreshing to see something a little different, but still functional. These back seats are up about 1.5 inches from last year at 40 inches, which is really spacious for a segment with the word subcompact in it. Heck, it's spacious for a car, period. Plenty comfortable and plenty of room for me at 5'7", and for forward and rear facing seats. And since this one has the cold weather pack option, they're also heated. Front seats are also heated, and the SX means that they're ventilated too. Cloth and Syntex, aka synthetic leather, with 10-way power and lumbar support. Pretty comfy up here, and the wheel is heated because we're in that top spec, but that would also be part of the cold weather pack if we were in the lower spec. And it's got some girth to it, which is always a plus for a steering wheel. Buttons are clear and simple, but they are gloss black. Behind the wheel, the digital gauge cluster has some good info in it: traffic sign recognition, safety info, efficiency, power distribution. That's always my favorite one to watch when I'm in a hybrid. I'm not the biggest fan of the digital tack, but it does fit this car pretty well. Infotainment is easy to use and full of good info as well. The neon purple thing kind of reminds me of my sister in the 90s, but the icons are clear, it's quick, it's intuitive, and it's got cool stuff in here like more efficiency data and the ability to set your charging schedule. That's great if you're in California and you can only charge between 2 and 6 a.m. or something. Parking cameras in here are great, but I have had some issues with the parking sensors. A couple of times the snow has set those off and started throwing warnings. That's not really specific to Kia, but it is something to take note of. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are wired, charging is wireless, and music is running through a 7-speaker Harman Kardon sound system instead of the base 6-speaker system. It's okay, it's a small space, but still 7 speakers can only do so much. Underneath the infotainment, instead of buttons and knobs, we've got this touch bar for the HVAC. The programmer in me thinks this is cool, but the end user in me is not so happy about it. Maybe if you could customize the quote-unquote buttons in this bar, it could be kind of cool, but even then, I'd rather just have buttons and knobs. The worst part about this is that it rotates. You tap this button here and the whole bar changes. I don't know how many times I've gone to turn up the volume and I've instead ended up blasting the heat. Underneath that, a wireless charging pad, and in the sea of gloss black is a dial for the transmission. Everybody seems to be reinventing the gear shift, and while I don't necessarily think it needed to be reinvented, honestly, I don't mind it. It's something that you get used to pretty quickly, and it's something to set the brand apart. A little more neon purple off to the side here, and this vent. I'm having a lot of trouble getting past this gloss black and past this scroll bar thing going on here, but other than that, I am really digging the fresh look. I think I probably wouldn't opt for the Aero blade, but it's nice that you do have that option for a bold design if you want to stand out a little bit. And I love the idea of a plug-in hybrid where you can efficiently commute during the week and you can go on a road trip or two without having any kind of range anxiety. Plus, this thing is super comfortable and I love the boxy shape for maximum space efficiency. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.